play, but a foul is called against him. You're seeing he's got the great speed, bursting down the wing. You see him trying to get around Wilson, and he lost his footing. This AstroTurf is causing some problems. It rained here in Montreal very lightly overnight, but I think the field is still very slippery.
Well, it is a treacherous field to play on at times, especially where there are seams. This stadium is used for baseball, and where there are seams in the carpet, those are the areas where it's treacherous footing.
19 minutes, 13 seconds has elapsed in a scoreless first half. The Blizzard and the Montreal Manic. Hope you're enjoying it here on the Global Television Network. Towers. Martinovich. And Vosmeyer.
And that's always dangerous. In soccer, every man has a responsibility. It's when those central defenders come up and get in on the attack, as we saw Rady Martinovich, those are the players who often go unmarked. Colin Franks wisely picked them up as he came streaking through, and he shaded them off the ball, and Chersky made the play. But it's oftentimes when you can't get something going in the midfield or up front, it's those defenders who come forward who end up having the open shot.
Calvert for Reagan. And Rigby lets it bounce over the line. This is your Molson soccer telecast.
An accident is waiting.
That's Greenhoff. That's Wilson. No score. The Blizzard in all red uniforms. Montreal Manic, white jerseys, blue shorts. Wilson, former Defender of the Year, top North American in the North American Soccer League. Colin Franks. He's the anchor. Jomo Sono. Rolling it to Wallace. He taps it back to Soto, off Greenhoff, and right to Bob Rigby.
Well, Mike, I was talking to Keith Eddy about the potential of this system having 4 players in the midfield. It's really a situation where he wants Jomo Sono to almost play as a withdrawn striker. He must get up closer to Gordon Sweetser and Jimmy Greenhoff. We really haven't seen him play up front within 10 yards of those players to create those triangle situations, those give and goes, those 1-2s. A minute ago, that was the closest thing we saw to it. But if there's too much space between the central strikers and between the attacking midfielders, it's tough to create chances.
Vosmeyer battling against Velasquez. No whistle. Velasquez just made a brilliant defensive play and literally stole the ball away from Vosmeyer. Sono to Calvert. Blizzard move. Greenhoff, Wallace, and Sweetser up front. And oh, what a chance for Sweetser. He couldn't get his foot on the ball. It's stolen now by Reagan. He gets the shot. And it will be a Blizzard corner kick. It deflected off Rady Martinovich. Great play there by the Blizzard.
Real good pressure. That's what this system is all about. When you're playing a 4-4-2, you have to have guys get into those open spaces on the wings. It's wide open, and Cliff Calvert made a good run down the left side, crossed the ball. Gordon Sweetser had what we call half a goal. He couldn't put the foot on it. It resulted in a corner kick.
That's Wallace, right into the hands of Rigby. One thing the Blizzard don't have is height. They do not have a tall team, which can be a disadvantage in the air, and in particular on corner kicks where the ball can sail.
Well, it can be. Gordon Sweetser being inserted into the lineup today. He's had problems with his knee. Hopefully he's fully recovered from them, but although he is not a tall player, he is what we call one who's great in the air, and he gets up there. The crosses nowadays in soccer, you can't float them up there anyway, so it doesn't matter how much height you have. Those crosses almost have to be drilled in with authority to have somebody just get a flick on the ball.
Sono tried to flick it through to Sweetser. Covering him was Bobby Smith. In fact, the tallest player on the Blizzard team right now is Jose Velasquez at 6'1", former Peruvian international. Vosmeyer losing it. Wilson to Sono. He does a little pirouette. Surveys the field. Looks for Reagan, sees that he's open. Reagan moving into position, knocks the ball down, and it's kicked over the line by Tony Towers. But the Blizzard are overlapping from outside with Reagan and Wilson. They go from their defensive positions all the way into attacking positions, and it's giving Montreal a little bit of problem.
Well, they're at 6s and 7s, Montreal, and coping with this attack because their outside backs. Let's watch this corner kick. Gordy Wallace is lining up, but their outside backs have come into the midfield to pick up the midfielders, and they've left gaping holes.
Colin Franks tried to get his head on the ball and could not. They are awarding the ball to the Blizzard for another corner kick on the opposite side of the field. A couple of the Manic players protesting mildly. The referee gave it sure. Let's see what Cliff Calvert can do. He was the player of the year during this past indoor season. Jomo Sono headed it wide. Montreal goal kick will be taken by Bob Rigby.
But again, a real good effort. Of all people to be left unmarked, Jomo Sono, that's unbelievable. He started his run at the top of the penalty box. Cliff Calvert saw him, and Jomo, being the experienced, canny veteran that he is, he snuck in unmolested and just got under the ball a bit too much.
Tony Towers knocked down from behind.
And again, it was that quick counterattack. We see the tackle here. Randy Reagan was in there. The foul is on Turkin, but both players collided, and the direct kick was called. The sun is a problem now for the goalkeeper. We can't see it in the picture right now. As that ball is flighted, you can see it at the top of your screen, a distinct line.
Chersky, that's why he's wearing the cap and visor. This is Blizzard Soccer on the Global Television Network. 19 minutes remaining. First half, the Blizzard and Montreal Manic in a scoreless tie from Olympic Stadium. Offside called against number 11, Gordon Hill.
Again, we see the Manic really looking for that 30, 40-yard through ball. Perhaps they're trying to play it into the sun. They're trying to play to the strength of Gordon Hill, but it's just not on.
And it's not going to make Eddie Permani happy, because Permani was quoted as saying he wants the club to attack with short passes. He doesn't want to see long balls, which frequently result in turnovers. The Blizzard get their 5th corner kick opportunity of this first half, and Bruce Wilson leaves it for Calvert. To Wilson. Again, it was a sloppy pass.
Well, again, I think the Blizzard have been playing quite an intelligent game. They've been utilizing space. Tactically, I think they're dominating this game, but it's just that last moment touch of the ball, that missed pass, the missed trap. The timing is a little bit off.
We saw a glimpse of this great crowd on hand at the Big O. Reagan back to Chersky. That results in the predictable chorus of boos. Chersky didn't waste any time passing the ball to Colin Franks. Franks to Jomo Sono. Going into the air was Bobby Smith. Fran O'Brien to Vossmeyer. Vossmeyer for Hill. Gordon Hill. Cuts to the outside, and his shot is wide. This is your Molson soccer telecast. Afternoon. Fran O'Brien, number 6. With a shot, a high rising drive.
And that's a good give and go that creates an open crack on goal. Unfortunately for the Manic, it was from about 25 yards out. Got under the ball, and he sent it well high of the goal. But it was a good opportunity if it could be done a little bit closer in the box. We see Tony Chersky's graphics: 6 shutouts in 25 games in 1980.
6 shutouts. That's like your whole career, wasn't it? You see it. To Vossmeyer. Out to Mark Antonio. Foul called against Montreal. Another duel in the air involving Gordon Hill and Gungar Ticket. And Hill was called. There's Wilson, left footing it to Jimmy Greenhoff. Attempted the pass to Jomo Sono and was stolen by Marcantonio.
And again, a nice collapsing defense. A mistake up in the midfield by Jimmy Greenhoff allowed the Manic to get a counterattack, but the defense sagged back.
That's O'Brien. This is Parkinson. Intercepting was Calvert. Sono to Wallace. Back to the quarterback, Sono. Look at the 4 Montreal players around Jomo Sono. They just seem to gravitate towards him whenever he's in possession.
Well, as we said earlier in the broadcast, he's a marked man, and in this case, Carmen Marcantonio, who normally is an outside back, he has no responsibilities as a back, and he's moved up into the midfield almost to create a double team on Jomo Sono. So it's going to be difficult for Jomo to get some free space to operate.
Actually, that sometimes can backfire against the defending team because with that many players concentrating their attention on Sono, somebody has to be open. The problem is for Sono, 1, to spot the open man, and 2, to get the ball to him.
Absolutely right, and the first part has to come from Jomo. If he is double teamed, he must give up the ball. He has good vision. He has to look around and find that open man. In many cases, it's going to be from that left back spot that Carmen Marcantonio vacated. So I'd really like to see a few more players getting into position down the right side on behalf of the Blizzard. That's the vacated spot by Marcantonio.
Jomo Sono and his younger brother, Julius Sono, who is on the bench. He is in a reserve capacity this afternoon. Ticket. The Blizzard knocking the ball around on the back. Calvert starts out and passes it off to Colin Franks, out to Velasquez, over to Wallace, doing a very effective job of controlling the ball. Now Reagan moves from the outside into the middle to Bruce Wilson, getting set, crosses the ball, punched away by Rickey. It's taken by Gordon Hill. How do you see it? Back to Hill, he chips it out in front. Calvert heading it to Wilson. Velasquez, nice job.
Well, Velasquez is such an elegant player, and that time he controlled the ball, expected Bruce Wilson to go forward. Bruce didn't, and they lost possession of the ball, but some good soccer being played.
Mossmeyer's pass picked off by Jose Velasquez.
Again, we find Gordon Hill caught in an offside position. Colin Franks plays that so well. He's keeping an eye on Gordon Hill. When he gets a chance, he moves up and takes him offside.
Calvert beaten to the ball by Andy Leach. Blizzard throw in. Wilson will handle the duties. Wilson, Calvert tapping it back to Wilson. To Franks. To Gordy Wallace. He's stopped. Here's Hill. Hill. And Reagan came back defensively for the Blizzard. From Montreal, this is Blizzard Soccer. We have returned to the Big O. Still in the first half, still no score between these two teams. Eddie Fermani was quoted as saying that he expected the Blizzard to play a tight defensive game. But I think that they have attacked when the opportunity has been there. The problem has been finishing it off.
Well, that's the tough part in the game of soccer. Every coach in the world goes into a game wanting to play with no mistakes in the back, defensively to play safe, to have ball control in the midfield, and to finish things up front. And unfortunately, the finishing touch hasn't been there.
Jomo Sono snuck through the Montreal defense, but couldn't get to the ball.
And again, his shadow, Carmen Marcantonio, he slipped him for a moment. And Jomo, with an intelligent run, just maybe one step behind.
This is the Montreal Manic. Calvert taken down Marcantonio very aggressively. It's been a physical game. Now, Joe Mosono, let's see what he can do. End-to-end action here at the Big O. Greenhoff has some space now, waiting for his teammates to move upfield. Greenhoff. For Wallace, the Blizzard called him the offside. The Blizzard's next home game will be on Sunday, April 26th at Exhibition Stadium against the Washington Diplomats. 3 o'clock start time. Diplomats beating this Montreal Manic team by a score of 1-0.
Well, Mike, if we talk about
the halftime, that means I can let the folks know that Bill Bird will be in conversation with Bruce Wilson. I'll be talking with Blizzard President Clive Toy, and of course, Shep and I will have highlights. Boy, you set that up nice.
Didn't I? I gave you the line and you took it, Mike. Anyway, before you interrupted me, we talk about a big game early in the season, and this Blizzard team has lost 3 games. They played quite well, but they are in fact 0-3, and this is a big game at this time in the season for them.
The frustrating part is they played so well in Tampa Bay, could have won, but lost 4-3. They played so well against Dallas last Sunday, could have won, and then lost in a shootout 1-0.
Well, I have been told they're playing their very best soccer in the history of the Toronto Blizzard. Unfortunately, the record stands at 0-3. I really only consider that as a soccer player and as a coach. The one loss to Dallas at home, that's really a mark against them. The 2 games on the road, a tough one in Jacksonville, a tough one in Tampa, those are almost to be expected. They could go either way, but the loss at home to Dallas was a very tough one to swallow.
Gungar taken down, and we'll take a break. This is your Molson Soccer Telecast. Gungar taken back on his feet. Play has resumed. Goal scored. Another offside against Montreal. That's the 4th time this afternoon they have been a little bit over-anxious, too anxious, and they have been called.
Interestingly enough, I think this offsides that we're seeing is a result of having to play without the 35-yard line for 2 games. Teams worked on drawing the opposing team offside. That's something traditionally done when you don't have the 35-yard line.
Brian O'Brien for Montreal, getting the crowd excited, then passes it off to You See It. Thompson, You See It. Into O'Brien. See Franks watching him, actually watching the ball. It comes loose to Calvert. He has Greenhoff to his left, Reagan to his right. He moves straight up the middle. Calvert with a shot that hugs the turf. Calvert slow and standing up. He is limping slightly. Usain. Booted away by Franks to Greenhoff, to Gordon Sweetser, to Joe Mosono. Sono does have some space now on this near side. Sono going in on Marcantonio. Healed by Calvert. Sweetser, he is pushed from behind. The foul is called against Sweetser. And Bill Bird is down in the field with Sam Lenarduzzi.
Sam, a couple of good chances for the Blizzard, especially Sweetser and Calvert, but defensively it looks like the Blizzard have had their problems in front of Chersky.
Well, I think it's just that we're playing a team that we don't know, and some of the players we don't know. So I think it's just time adjusting to them because we've been used to a certain system. But I think on the whole of the play that we've had, the better of the chances, and right now we should be up a goal.
Well, certainly, I couldn't believe Sweetser could miss from where he was. He just couldn't even kick the ball.
Well, part of that might be a lack of playing time. He hasn't played regular in the last little while, so it's getting his game fitness back. But I'm sure if he gave him the chance again, he'd put it away.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay.
I think for the most part, the Blizzard have had an edge, certainly in possession of the ball and from a territorial standpoint as well. There's Big Bob Rigby.
Hey, what a character Bobby is. You know, they talk about goalkeepers being masochistic. Bobby, when he isn't a goalkeeper, he likes to get into cross-country marathon running. I remember that he would go out on the beach and run 26 miles. Now, I'll tell you what, to me, anybody who goes out and runs 26 miles as soon as the season's over, I don't know what kind of thinking that takes. But we see Keith Eddy trying to get the troops going. Gordon Sweetser.
They were examining the seam down in the Montreal end of the field. It may have come loose. Repairs were done, makeshift repairs. 5.5 minutes to go. Ball played back to Chersky. Too far intended for Wilson. Rossmeyer's throw in to Andy Lynch. Oh, Wilson, a sliding tackle. He is called on the foul.
Watch it again. It's a diving sliding tackle. He really had come in for the ball late. But as long as you can get away with a tackle like that and not pull down a yellow card, it's an intimidating type of tackle, and it's well done.
It would have made Lou Brock proud. That's how it's done.
Well, Lou Brock didn't have to do it wearing shorts.
Throw in is to Towers. He is flattened. And the penalty kick awarded to the Montreal Manic. Jose Velasquez lowered the boom.
What a call. Off throw in a set play, and really, I don't know about it. They definitely got tangled up. There's another defender in the play. Velasquez chagrined. He already has a yellow card, and now he's called for a costly penalty kick. I don't know. I'd have to look at that again to see whether possibly it could have been an instruction call, but the referee has pointed to the penalty spot.
Taking the penalty shot will be Andy Lynch, one-on-one. This is the classic confrontation. Lynch against Chersky. Remember, he cannot move before the ball's kicked. Here it is. The save by Chersky. The rebound. They score on the rebound. Oh, can you believe it? Andy Parkinson, I believe, got the goal. How disappointing. How dejected Tony Chersky must feel.
The Montreal team just celebrating, taking advantage. We watched the penalty kick. Tony Chersky stopped one earlier against Tampa, and here he goes. Guess who's right? Nobody to pick up Parkinson charging in, and oh my God, that's a terrible goal to give. There's no worse feeling in the world for the defense to come up big on a penalty kick and then have someone come in unmarked and stick it in the back of the net. Tony Chersky, rightfully so, threw his gloves down in disgust and was yelling at his teammates.
All right, the Montreal Manic have drawn first blood. They lead by a score of 1-0. The ball is in play on a penalty shot situation. It looked as if everybody except Andy Parkinson was so dazzled by the stop from Chersky that they just remained strictly spectators.
Well, it's something you can try to ingrain in the players. You remind them constantly on a set situation like that. Don't be a ball watcher. Get into the play. It was certainly a brilliant save on the penalty kick, and unfortunately, that split-second delay while the Toronto players are watching, Parkinson got the first step and stuck it in the back of the net.
Not only does it leave the Blizzard down by a score of 1-0, but it could be have a psychological effect. Let's see. Jomo Sono trying to twist the ball around the near post and hit the side of the net. There's Andy Parkinson with his first goal of 1981. Parkinson just 21 years of age. 41-18 the time. Well, what a lift that could have given the Blizzard. And what a downer it could have been for Montreal.
Well, that momentum goes back and forth, and certainly within a space of seconds, we saw how the complexion of the game could be changed. It was certainly against the flow of the play. It was perhaps a questionable call in the first place against Velasquez. It wasn't a clear-cut penalty in my mind. And then to have the save and the rebound tucked in, it changes the complexion of the game. But really, the Blizzard must pick the heads up and say, hey, we've had the better of the play in the first half.
I must say, initially, when Velasquez and Rossmeyer went to the turf, it appeared originally as if Velasquez had really been in flagrant violation. But then as we saw the replay, it certainly seemed as if they just had their legs caught amongst one another and could have gone either way.
It's a tough call. It's a subjective call. The referee is the only one on the spot who can call it. I felt the same way. When I first saw the foul, I thought, yes, that's a penalty kick. When we saw it in replay, it looked like more a question of getting their legs tangled up, and it could have gone either way as an obstruction call instead. But anyway, that's history, and the Blizzard must pick their heads up and say, hey, we've had the better of the play. We're only down 1-0, and there's a lot of time to go in this ball game.
Gordy Wallace through to Greenhoff. Franks moves up. Half volleys it into the air. Greenhoff. Finally, it's Colin Franks. Franks goes wide to Cliff Calvert. The cross. That's headed out. Clock running down here in the first half. Calvert picking it up for the Blizzard. Montreal leads 1-0. When Tony Chersky stopped Andy Lynch on a penalty shot, but then Andy Parkinson was there to boot in the rebound, and that's the difference. Younger Tikin to Jomo Sono. Beautiful afternoon for soccer here in Montreal. The home opener with the big O. Calvert. The shot is high and wide. And Gordon Sweetser, you may have seen him demonstrating just slightly. He was open. He wanted the ball.
Well, again, it's a question of communication. Cliff Calvert got himself open on the left. He felt he had a shot. Gordon Sweetser, yes, he was in good position at the far post, and he was trying maybe to atone for that ball that he might have put in earlier in the game. I'm surprised to see Jomo taking such a withdrawing position. We see him at the center circle, at the midfield line. I'm sure Keith Eddy would really like to see him playing a bit further up and get into that attack.
Bobby Smith taking the ball from Bob Riggs. They're having some clock problems here. There's no time showing on the scoreboard clock. Marcantonio losing it to Tikin. Now Calvert rolling it over to Bruce Wilson. Wilson with the sun directly in his face to Jomo Sono. He reverses direction. Sono to Wilson. Back to Sono. Ahead to Greenhoff. He thought Sono was going to continue on. Instead, Sono stopped. And so what would have been a neat give and go resulted in a turnover to Montreal. The only goal of the first half to this point, Andy Parkinson at 41-18. The first half has come to an end. The two teams walking to their respective dressing rooms. The crowd enjoying it here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And so the score at the end of the first half. The Montreal Manic 1, the Blizzard nothing.
A little mesmerized there for a second, maybe moved a little slowly or what?
Well, I think, again, the fella came in first, and Tony made an absolutely world-class save, and our defenders were just too late. He had no chance in the second shot.
Okay, really, it's a shame because not only because of the goal, but because the Blizzard had actually, on the chances, had a better opportunity, should be ahead.
Yes, I think it's no question. In the 4 games we've played now, I don't know, we just have some bad luck. We've had some very close calls, and we're just not putting the ball in the net. I think we're dominating every game. I think if you look at ball possession, which is a good indication of a game, we're controlling the ball, knocking the ball around, but it seems when we get down to the last third of the field, we struggle.
Not quite the finish you need at this point, then.
That's right.
I noticed that early in the game especially, there was a little communication problem at the back end. A couple of times it almost backfired on you.
Yeah, I think, you know, whenever you start with a new back four, Gungor doesn't speak English too well, but he's playing very well. He marks the man tight. You know, I don't think they're giving us that much problem in terms of, you know, trouble on shots on goal. In fact, I can't remember one hard shot on goal Tony's had to save. It's just, I mean, it was a definite penalty, and that's the way it goes.
Well, Bruce, maybe the second half will have better luck for you.
I think so. We're pushing the ball around. We're playing well. If we keep playing and keep our heads up, the chances are bound to come.
Thanks, Bruce Wilson, and we'll return to Olympic Stadium in just a moment.
That's true. Of course, the second penalty kick that Tony saved this season, yet it still resulted in 2 goals. So I feel sorry for him. But a very frustrating first half, as it's been so far, a very frustrating season.
Well, the Blizzard control play at midfield. It seems to be that their problem is when they penetrate into the opposing team's end, they just cannot finish it off, capitalize on their opportunity.
Well, you know, that was so at Jacksonville. We played badly at Jacksonville, particularly in the first half, and lost. Played extremely well at Tampa, and were winning, of course, and then gave away stupid goals. Should have beaten Dallas last week handily and lost. And certainly, I think, controlled most of the first half and are still losing. So what should have been and what could have been really isn't important. The results so far are obviously showing that we're not penetrating enough, not scoring the goals, and one mistake, one error, one goal, and that can cause us to go down to another defeat.
Let's talk about a young man who signed just a couple of days ago, named Giampaolo Bonaperti. He is from Juventus in the Italian First Division, just 19 years of age, and has, I am told, quite a prospect and quite a future ahead of him.
He is the son, as you well know, of the president of Juventus, one of the great figures of Italian soccer, Giampiero Bonaperti. And the signing of young Giampaolo came about because of a visit that we had in Turin earlier in the year to discuss a working relationship with Juventus. Obviously one of the great clubs of the world, not just of Italian soccer, and a relationship which we hope can develop to where it can become of immense value to us and maybe in time of value to Juventus. And the offering, you might say, by the elder Bonaperti of young Giampaolo is the first concrete sign of what I hope will become a much stronger and wider working relationship.
Well, it was speculated in one of the Toronto newspapers earlier this week, Clive, that might be a sign that Fiat, which of course is involved with the operation of Juventus, might be talking to the Blizzard about purchasing the club. Can you clarify that?
Among the conversations we had was basically began as a desire to establish a working relationship, but during the course of many hours of conversation, that conversation expanded into the casual discussion, the initial discussion of all kinds of possibilities. To say that there is an offer in from Juventus or Fiat to buy the Blizzard, or that the Blizzard has said, yes, here, come and buy us, no, that's taking the whole thing too far at this stage. But nothing is excluded at this particular time.
All right, speaking of time, we've got 45 minutes of soccer ahead of us. The Blizzard down by a score of 1-0, but certainly they have all kinds of time to get back into this game. Thank you very much, Clive.
Thank you very much.
And we will return with highlights from the first half right after this message. Bill Bird talked to Bruce Wilson about the penalty shot. I talked to Clive Toye about the penalty shot. Now, let you and I talk about the penalty shot. And better than that, let's first of all, before we see what happened, let's see why it happened. It took place in the penalty area. It started with a throw-in.
Well, again, it's off a set piece of action, a throw-in. Velasquez a little bit later getting over to Vosmeyer. To me, it still looks like an obstruction call. It's a determination by the official. A Blizzard player, I'm not quite sure who, was in the background collecting the ball, which meant that the foul in itself was not that crucial. In many cases, the official in that case, because he saw the play would not have resulted in a goal, he will say, that's obstruction, that's not a penalty kick. The official pointed to the penalty spot, and what happened from that point on, especially to me, because I was a goalkeeper, was a disaster. Goalkeeper Tony Chersky made a great save on the play, and unfortunately the Blizzard players were caught standing around and ball watching. Parkinson made a dodge into the area and stuck it in the back of the net.
Let's just clarify. If it had been obstruction, then Montreal would have been awarded a free kick, not a penalty kick. But they got the penalty kick, and it was Andy Lynch who took it.
Well, Andy Lynch did take the kick. He took it with his left foot, and Tony Chersky, poor Tony Chersky, stopped one against Tampa. Here we see Lynch put the ball to Chersky's left, Tony with the diving save, and there comes Parkinson splitting two players, really. It looked like Jimmy Greenhoff was there a little bit late. He split the players and put it in the back of the net. Really, if you're playing for the Toronto Blizzard, if you're Tony Chersky, you got to be saying, give me a break. What more can I do? it's a case of being snake bitten. I really thought the Blizzard had the better of the play. I think statistics showed that in the first half, and that's what they have to be saying to themselves at halftime. We're only down 1-0, and we had the better of the play.
At the other end of the field, Gordon Sweetser had a chance when he was set up, but he could not get his foot on the ball to make contact. Cliff Calvert also had an opportunity. Let's take a look at that.
Well, that's a cross coming over, and here we're going to see Sweetser come in. The ball is there. This Calvert on the shot with the left foot. Rigby really had it contained at the near post. Oftentimes, the goalkeeper is going to dare the player to go to the far post. In that case, Rigby made an intelligent play. He came right to the near post, and Cliff Calvert, although he hit the ball well, it was saved by the goalkeeper. But a good chance, and I really think this 4-4-2 that Keith Eddy has employed is creating more chances than, let's say, the traditional 4-2-4 that the Manic are playing.
Let's hope they can capitalize on those chances, and we'll find out when we return with the second half right after this. There's the Montreal Manic. The Toronto Blizzard still have not made an appearance, and these are the statistics from that first half. As you can see, the Blizzard with a 10-6 edge in shots on goal. Bobby Rigby made 6 saves. Tony Chersky at the other end made 2, including 1 on a penalty shot. A very rough, very aggressive first half, a total of 19 fouls. The Blizzard, with 6 chances in a corner kick situation, could not take advantage of any of them, and the only yellow flag was against Jose Velasquez. Blizzard spending a little bit more time. There's Andy Parkinson. He is the only goal of the game. The Blizzard spending a little more time indoors in the dressing room. I suspect that perhaps they're going over some strategy which they hope to employ in the second 45 minutes.
I'm still surprised at the complexion of this game, Mike, and whether it's because the Blizzard have been playing well in the midfield or whether it's because the strategic plan of Montreal was to come out and play the way they're playing. I'm still surprised. Montreal has been playing as if they were the visiting team. They're packing people in the back. They're marking up, and they're relying on those 40-yard, 30-yard counterattack quick balls to Gordon Hill to get them going, and they really have not had the better of the play against the flow of the play on a throw, and they picked up a penalty kick, and as a result, they have a 1-0 lead. But I think if the game continues the way it's been going, we see young Julius Sono running past the picture, and there's Tony Chersky. If the game continues, I think it will be helpful for the Blizzard to continue playing the way they're playing.
Jomo Sono has 1 goal thus far in 1981. This is Shep Messing's first visit to Montreal. We took advantage and saw some of the town this morning, not last night.
Well, we certainly did. Mike is my...
You're impressed with the fashions here, aren't you?
Well, you're my social coordinator, and we were in the hotel lobby, and Mike pointed out a beautiful boutique, and we browsed around, and Mike didn't buy anything, but I did, and I appreciate you for showing me that boutique, Mike.
Actually, I think it was a beautiful lady in a rather ordinary boutique.
Well, she could have sold me swampland in Arizona. I ended up buying the coat.
Okay, that's the reason for the delay. They still have some problems with the artificial turf. They're attempting to correct those problems now, and I guess overseeing it all is Gungar Tikat. I'm not so sure he has that much experience in this particular area, having played on the natural grass of Turkey. Very important acquisition by the Blizzard. And we'll be back with the second half, and from Montreal, this is Blizzard Soccer. Still waiting as some of the ground crew continue to work on the artificial turf at the Blizzard end of the field. And the indication is that Malcolm Robertson is going to check in, so there is a lineup change. Malcolm Robertson is from Hearts of the Scottish Premier Division. This is his first season with the Blizzard. He has scored 1 goal so far in 1981, wearing number 12, a very hard-working, hustling midfielder out of the Jimmy Bone mold. And I would only speculate now that Gordy Wallace would probably be coming out.
It looks that way. Malcolm Robertson is obviously in the game to get his feet on the ball, to handle the ball, to get into the attack. Gordy Wallace did not have that much of the ball in the first half, although he was effective coming back and marking people. At this stage, obviously, the Blizzard have to attack on goal. They have to create some more chances and hope some of them really start going in.
Ordinarily, a visiting team lays back, plays it safe. That wasn't the story on the Blizzard in the first 45 minutes, and I doubt very much whether that will be the story again here in the second half. They have attacked with consistency. The breakdown has been deep in Montreal territory.
Well, again, you know, you talk about these high-paid strikers. Being a former goalkeeper, I hate strikers, but I can understand why they're paid money, because it's the toughest job in the world is really that finishing touch, putting that ball in the back of the net. And certainly the Blizzard have played well from 35-yard line to 35-yard line, but they haven't been able to finish off.
There is Malcolm Robertson with the ball for the first time today. Robertson stopped by Thompson. You see it. Robertson also has excellent speed, shielding the ball, protecting it from the Montreal defender. It comes loose then, picked up by Usean. Usean lost it. It's taken by Jose Velasquez. Velasquez trying to get a shot away. As a matter of fact, he passed off instead of taking the shot, laying it in for Jomo Sono. And it's cleared by Andy Lynch. I thought maybe Velasquez should have shot instead of trying to set up.
Well, he had the space, but he has good peripheral vision, and he caught Jomo Sono streaking off to his right, and he really felt that Jomo had the more open shot. Unfortunately, it wasn't on, but an intelligent play anyway by Velasquez.
Carmen Marcantonio wearing number 12. He played at one time with Toronto Italia.
Marcantonio handling the ball right now for the Manic is an excellent player, a great addition to this team. I've played with and against him before, and he really adds a dimension to the attack.
Good ball, Sono to Robertson. Robertson moving in. Couldn't get his shot away. 3 Montreal Manic players surrounded him. Now it's taken by Jomo Sono. The Blizzard pressing, looking for that 1-goal equalizer. Randy Reagan. Reagan for Greenhoff. Greenhoff playing it back out to Calvert. Here's Calvert moving to the outside. Working closely against Fran O'Brien. Calvert to take the throw in. Looks like it's going to be deep. He wants a run up. It is to Greenhoff in the box. Kicked away by Montreal. Comes right back to Reagan. Reagan's shot is partially blocked. It rolls over here to Malcolm Robertson. He waited too long. Now you see it. Shoulder to shoulder with Bruce Wilson. You see it. Unable to control it. Wilson waiting for the throw-in.
Well, this is tremendous pressure that the Blizzard have put on the opening minutes of the second half. They're not allowing the Manic to get out of their area. It's wall-to-wall pressure, and something's got to give when you keep pressuring a team like that.
Good ball by Wilson. Punched away. Now Jomo Sono getting set. Sono with a shot. Oh, and it was wide as he tried to curl it around the post. Sono was dragged down. He thought that there should have been a foul called.
And that is pressure in the box. Jomo Sono, tremendous poise in the box. It looked like he'd wind up. We see Bob Rigby breathing a sigh of relief right there. Jomo had the ball. He had a first-time shot. Instead, he waited and just curled the ball wide of the post. But a great opportunity, and it's this kind of pressure in the Manic half of the field that is going to result in something.
Andy Lynch, former captain with Glasgow Celtic. Tells you all you need to know about his credentials. Lynch was stopped on the penalty kick, and then he got a reprieve, and Montreal got a reprieve. Here's the Manic again with a shot. Tony Towie. This crowd is on its feet. Or was it Parkinson? Yes.
There it is. Randy Reagan has lost Parkinson. Tom Frank's coming to give cover. Tony Chersky out to cut down the angle. And a great, great goal by Parkinson. Well taken. He bent it to the inside of his right foot. Watch him split the defenders now. He brings it back. Young Randy Reagan, perhaps screening out Tony Chersky, and Chersky not even diving for the ball. He had no chance, and it's tucked into the left post.
Andy Parkinson with his second goal of the afternoon. In fact, Parkinson has been the difference. Montreal leads now by a score of 2-0. So the Blizzard, well, they have no choice. They'll have to press. They'll have to go forward. Greenhoff to Sweetser, and his header just inches wide of this post on the near side.
There's a look at Parkinson, the man of the match at this moment, sticking in both goals, but what a crazy game soccer is. Completely against the flow of the play. Again, Sweetser had a good chance on Rigby, but it wasn't to be. And Rigby again breathing a sigh of relief and saying, let's get on.
Really a strange series of events. As Toronto dominated, held the ball, and then Montreal moved upfield and scored. Now it's Velasquez preparing for the free kick just outside the 35-yard line. Well, actually, it's going to be Calvert who takes it. Calvert looking at Greenhoff and chips it for Colin Franks, trying to get in behind the Montreal defense. Picked up by Fran O'Brien, who sends it out of play. 2-0, Montreal Manic.
Who's to say what's the best way to play the game of soccer? Certainly the Blizzard have come out and had ball control, given a short give-and-go, short passing game. They haven't capitalized, while the Manic came down and in the last case with a 40-yard ball and a break on an opportunity, put it in the back of the net and now lead 2-0. So you can't say that there's any one right way to play the game of soccer. Certainly only the scoreboard tells in the end.
Sono getting loose. Deflects off Lucian. Picked up by Parkinson. To O'Brien. Broken up by Malcolm Robertson. Bruce Wilson has it for the Blizzard, number 2. Wilson, 29 years of age. To Velasquez, former Peruvian international. Back to Wilson. To Chersky. Keith Eddy, concerned, naturally.
Well, Keith Eddy pointing to the troops. Sometimes he must say to himself, there's no justice in the game. His team has done everything he's really wanted them to do today, but they're on the short end of the stick.
Franks goes in hard. Reagan to Jomo Sono. Traffic all around him. Sono to Velasquez. To Robertson. Malcolm Robertson closing in. Fakes one way. Moves the others. Crosses the ball. It's loose. And Rigby hunts it against his chest. There was another chance.
Well, a nice piece of work by Robertson. He beat his back, sent the ball across. Unfortunately, Rigby was in the right spot for the Toronto Blizzard. He came out and picked it off. Here's Robertson beating Mossmeyer in this case. The cross comes over. Collision with Sweetser, and Rigby's there to collect the rebound. Now it's really difficult to penetrate because it gives the Manic this 2-0 lead. It gives them the incentive to pack the box, to really congest things, and really the Blizzard must open it up to penetrate. They must play a bit wider.
Montreal's priority is to protect their 2-0 lead. Robertson, the cross, off Greenhoff. Headed out of danger. Now Wilson heads it right back in again. Wilson, and you see him. Foul is against Lucian. Velasquez taking the very quick free kick from Wilson. And then Velasquez losing the ball to Towers. Velasquez all over the field. To Calvert. Check back to Franks. Intercepted by Montreal. That's Towers. Off Gunter Teakin. Teakin again. Jomo Sono. Rolling it to Robertson. Blizzard throw in. Minutes has elapsed in the second half. Andy Parkinson has both Montreal goals. The Manic lead 2-0. Franks. Good pass to Malcolm Robertson. Right on the money. Robertson. Tripped up. No foul called. This is your Molson soccer telecast. That's Andy Lynch, number 3. 5'8", 148, 26 years of age. He's from Ireland. And that's Bob Rigby. Long throw in. Mossmeyer jostling with Malcolm Robertson. Now it's Gordon Hill, number 11. Out to Tony Towers. He is knocked down, and Reagan comes up with it to Velasquez. Velasquez lost his footing and also lost the ball. You see it, number 10. And Wilson rolling it to Chersky and gets it again.
Give both teams credit. When the ball control is not on, they're really digging in and getting physical. For Montreal, they're up 2-0. They're looking at the scoreboard and saying, hey, we can hang on and win this ball game. We're in the driver's seat. The Blizzard, what can they do to penetrate? What can they do to put it in the back of the net? Well, if they can't control the ball, they have to open up and play a bit more physical. They have to win 50-50 balls. There's the keeper by Brigby. He's in control.
He has the wind at his back. Wilson, Jomosono. Thompson, you see it, the young Nigerian. To Carmen Marcantonio. Chersky releasing it for Gordon Sweetser. Bobby Smith came over his back. Now a chance, and the shot by Gordon Hill. Nowhere near the net. This is Blizzard Soccer on the Global Television Network. It is Montreal 2, the Blizzard nothing. Mike Hanscom, Shep Messing, and Bill Bird here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal on a cool, brisk, but very pleasant Saturday afternoon, and a tremendous crowd on hand.
Certainly a great day for Montreal. I believe that this might be one of the largest opening day crowds ever in the history of the NASL. A tremendous crowd on hand, and their team is giving them what they want at this particular moment.
Out of play. Randy Reagan could not keep it on the field, on the playing field. Montreal ball, that's Fran O'Brien. The Blizzard made possession. Jomo Sona nearly stole it. Wallace does. I should say Malcolm Robertson does. Wilson shouldering. You see it. What's the ruling on that, Shep?
Well, a shoulder tackle is legal if you're playing the ball, if you're not playing the man first. In that case, clearly Usain was between the ball and Bruce Wilson, and in that case, the shoulder tackle is deemed unlawful. So a clean shoulder tackle when you're both going for the ball, that's quite all right. But Bruce Wilson was obstructed from the ball, and he tried to dip the shoulder in to steal it away. No go. The referee signaled it right away. It's really a frustrating time of the game right now for the Blizzard.
Greenhoff, back intended for Calvert. He couldn't catch up to it. Montreal moving upfield. George Goody, our statistician, tells me that there was such a lineup for tickets prior to the game that club officials, the Manic club officials, had to contact the Montreal police for a little assistance and help. The wind carrying the ball over the line. Tony Chersky, goal kick.
Certainly a pleasant surprise for this Montreal crowd today. We were talking to Phil Woosnam earlier, the commissioner of the NASL, at the hotel this morning, and he said, hey, this Montreal team is not a bad team. They just came back from beating the Peruvian national team on tour, and it kind of raised my eyebrows in astonishment. I didn't think they had done that, beating the Peruvian national team. But in fact, they are playing a good game of soccer today.
The Blizzard have played well, but they have run into all kinds of obstacles and all kinds of bad breaks in the Manic end of the field. You have to finish it off. Sweetser missing the pass from Gungar Tekin. It's also very imperative for the Blizzard not to blow their cool, not to become so frustrated, so dejected that they lose concentration.
Well, sure. I think the thing is to channel that anger and frustration into something positive. They don't want to pick up another yellow card by playing needlessly physical. They want to channel that angry energy into going forward. And it's really a frustrating game, the game of soccer. When you're down 2-0, it's a tough game to play.
Foul is against the Blizzard. A contented man now is Montreal coach Eddie Fermani. He's with Bill Bird.
Eddie, with a 2-goal lead, you kind of play a kitty bar the door right now, kind of hang back and not take too many chances?
Not really. I would like to see us putting more pressure on them, really. You know, they've come into the game a little bit now, but I would like to see us putting a bit more pressure on them at this stage rather than hang back.
Well, really, after the first half, you were up 1-0. I thought on the play you were sort of fortunate to have that lead.
Well, I think it was an even-Steven game, really, you know, but... you know, the break went our way, and that's what matters to us.
Thanks, Eddie.
Interesting conversation down on the field. Eddie Fermani certainly was saying one thing, and it seemed like he was thinking to himself, hey, look at the scoreboard. It's 2-0.
Malcolm Robertson to replace Gordy Wallace at midfield in the second half. Dribbling the ball, and then losing to Bosmeyer. Bosmeyer goes down. Bob Bosmeyer has impressed me. He was a former member of the Dutch national team. Jimmy Greenhoff was spun to the turf. He is motionless.
That was a rough tackle. I believe it was Rudy Martinovic, who came in late. Greenhoff has played an intelligent game. He hasn't had that much of the ball, but his vision and passing has been very good. He lends experience to this team.
Jimmy Greenhoff.
We see Martinovic come in from behind and really catch Greenhoff right below the calf, above the ankle. Painful area, the Achilles tendon. And Jimmy, the old soldier that he is, walking it off. It was a tough tackle.
Wilson's pass headed away by Montreal. Now Reagan running the ball down and kicks it back to Tony Thurston. Jimmy Greenhoff, one of the great names in English soccer with Manchester United. Joined the Blizzard, actually signed with the Blizzard last December. Calvert. Jimmy Greenhoff and Gordon Hill were teammates of Manchester United in 1977. That's Hill. Tekin heading the ball over the line. And this is your Molson Soccer telecast. The injured Montreal player was Gordon Hill, and now it's Gungar Tekin. That's Hill.
Gordon Hill down. It looks to be a cramp. When you straighten your leg out like that, it is a cramp, but we've just seen a yellow card, a caution given to Gungar Tekin. Now, I can't believe that. It looked like a good play on the ball. See if we can catch it again, but Gungar Tekin went up for the head ball. Andrew Parkinson is down. Really just a collision, a butting of the heads, but he did pick up the yellow card, the caution for the play.
Tekin, a very robust and an extremely aggressive defender for the Blizzard. Montreal, free kick from about 28 yards away. Lots of jostling for position in front of the net. Wilson heading it high into the air. Throw in.
Manic playing with 10 players on the field at this time. Gordon Hill still off to the sideline.
He is limping badly. Now Montreal with a chance. That shot was a mile off the target. Gordon Hill has gone to the Montreal bench.
Looks like young Sonny Askew is warming up on the sidelines for Montreal. Gordon Hill has limped off. It looks like the legs are cramping up. We'll wait till we get a definite substitution, but it looks like young Sonny Askew played with Washington the past 5 years. Young American player from the Baltimore area. He's on the sidelines warming up now for Montreal. We'll wait further word. Gordon Hill is not visible out there. It looks like he's gone into the dressing room to get his leg worked on.
Randy Reagan has picked up a yellow card. I certainly thought it was Teakin who was involved in the collision with Parkinson. Calvert is up in it. No foul called, and then Teakin goes hard into Parkinson.
The game is getting rough now. It was Gunga Teakin involved in the foul. There we get a shot. It looks like Sonny Askew, I can't be sure from this position.
Looks like Curtis Chuden, number 18. Montreal. Royce Myers shot. Wide. And this is your Molson soccer telecast. Looked like just leg cramps suffered by Gordon Hill. He is on your screen, or was momentarily, number 11. So both teams at full strength. This is Thompson, you see him, number 10. Chipping the ball, headed by Gunga Teakin. Chersky went diving after it because he wanted to prevent it from going over the line, which would have given Montreal the corner kick.
Absolutely right. There's Gordon Hill getting back into the game. He had leg cramps, probably in the calf, but he's back on the field, and both teams are at equal strength.
This is Malcolm Robertson, moving the ball well. Robertson sending it out in front. Gets it handed right back to him again. I think he was so surprised that he failed to hang on to it.
Well, it was a clearing pass from Bobby Smith, really a diving, desperation clearing pass, and he put it right back to the feet of Malcolm Robertson. Malcolm couldn't control it.
Montreal ball.
And that's an obstruction call going down the sideline. Again, it's on Velasquez. Tony Towers gets the obstruction call. It'll be direct kick, Montreal.
There's a good look at Bob Bosmeyer, a native of the Netherlands. 5'11", 149, and 29 years of age. And he is one of the key members of this Montreal team. Manic free kick. Towers, Chersky, kicking it out himself to Gordon Sweetser. Sweetser leaving it for Calvert. He's knocked down by Bobby Smith. Foul called. You remember a couple of years ago, Cliff Calvert, Bobby Smith, Colin Franks were all involved in quite a scene at Giant Stadium in New York. All three, as a matter of fact, were ejected from the game.
Well, they certainly were. There's been no animosity out on the field between those players this afternoon, but I do remember it well in Giant Stadium. And Bobby Smith, now playing left back for Montreal, has always been an aggressive player, but it's been clean today.
Gunga Teakin cutting off Andy Parkinson. They award the ball to the Blizzard. Franks, Robertson, Wilson. Tough to see the clock from where we're sitting because of the sun, which is beating down. Shadows created. I'm told approximately 20 minutes. That's unofficially left to play. The Blizzard trailing 2-0. Jomo Sono to Greenhoff. Hill. Velasquez took Thompson Ocean right out of the play, allowing Reagan to get the ball and start the Blizzard in an offensive situation. That was short-lived. Here comes Hill again. To Vosmeyer. Vosmeyer through to Hill. Chersky on the net. Oh, and the ball. Seemed to stop, but Chersky was out of position. Now Wilson is knocked down. Montreal foul again.
Well, again, a lot of things being created here. I would have to say at this stage in the game, the Manic have begun to play good counterattacking soccer. There's a lot of wide open space because the Blizzard are pushing forward, and that through ball almost resulted in another mistake and a goal for the Manic.
Malcolm Robertson tripped up. Well, it's been a busy day at your neighborhood bakery. Bakery. Colin Franks, Cliff Calvert have all celebrated birthdays here in the month of April. Blaggy Tamanzic will very shortly. Franks, 30 years of age now. Calvert, 27, and Tamanzic will be 29. Sono into the air. Sweetser now jockeying for position. Staying on it. Heels it back. Sono to Franks to Robertson. Ball is wide. Blizzard had 5 players in the box.
Well, that was a good piece of action. Bob Rigby signaling to settle down. I don't know what the best way to attack at this point in the game is. They had 5 players at the top of the penalty area. A few give and goes. They didn't get a clear shot at goal. Really, it's Montreal with the counterattacks that are having the clear shots on goal. Now we see Bruce Wilson pick up the loose ball.
He was forced to retrieve. Towers giving it to Marcantonio. Marcantonio. He was called offside.
The crowd here really getting involved in the game. They didn't feel that Hill was offsides that time. It was a close call. Not really particularly important, but the crowd showing a lot of enthusiasm. They're supporting this team.
Kicked out of danger by Bobby Smith. The Montreal's ball. Our next telecast on the Global Television Network, and oh, what a big one this will be. You won't want to miss the Blizzard. Well, they move into Giant Stadium to take on the world-renowned New York Cosmos. Broadcast time 2:30 on Sunday, May 10th. The Blizzard and the Cosmos at Giant Stadium. Well, this could be dangerous now. I thought the wind might hold it up. Tony Chersky, of course, at 5'11", doesn't have the great height.
Well, the cross did take off a bit. Tony got a good angle on it, picked it off cleanly. It's really a counterattacking game now for Montreal. They can afford to sit back. They know the Blizzard must come forward. They know they're going to vacate some spaces. They know they're going to be able to capitalize. So it's really, at this point in the game, almost an umbrella defense. Come and get us, and then we'll counterattack.
Under 17 minutes remaining in regulation time. So the clock is becoming a factor. Montreal 2, the Blizzard nothing. The Blizzard will be in action again at Exhibition Stadium on Sunday, April 26th at 3 in the afternoon against the Washington Diplomats. Marcantonio. Smith handing it to Velasquez. Jose Velasquez, good pass to Jomo Sono, breaking quickly. Sono, the cross, Greenhoff, heading it wide as he tried to take it on the bounce. That's a tough play. They had the right idea.
It was a difficult play, but it was the best scoring opportunity of the second half for the Blizzard. Jomo Sono with a solo run, made the cross, and Greenhoff, I don't know, perhaps he could have tried to volley it with the left foot. It was a difficult sliding bounce. He elected to try and head it, and it was a glancing header, not on goal, but a good opportunity created by that dangerous run by Jomo.
You see it? Stride for stride with him was Bruce Wilson. Wilson kicking it over the line. Montreal corner kick.
Looks like an obstruction call.
Yes. Chersky snags it in the air. Releases it. But it's right back to Montreal. And then Jomo Sono steals it from Thompson. You see it. They will attempt to attack from the back. See what they do. Franks to Ticket. Yellow card against Colin Franks. The second yellow card of the afternoon.
And this was a great example of retaliation.
It is the third, I'm sorry.
Colin Franks was fouled. The referee didn't see it. Colin retaliated by giving a swift kick in the Achilles and the calf area. The referee, as it always seems to happen, he only saw Colin retaliate. He didn't see the initial foul by Parkinson. So unfortunately, it is the third yellow card of the day, and it's for Colin Franks.
The other two, both to the Blizzard. Jose Velasquez and Randy Reagan. And so, Montreal with a free kick from about 30 yards out. Oh, the ball curled wide of the near post. The shot taken by Gordon Hill. A reminder that this program is authorized under rights granted by Pro Soccer Limited solely for the entertainment of our audience. And any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event, including the imposition of a charge for viewing the program without the express consent of Pro Soccer Limited, is strictly prohibited. Bruce Wilson, the throw in to Jomo Sono. 3 Montreal players around him. He's like a magnet with steel. Quick free kick. Robertson.
Looks like we see young Julius Sono warming up on the sideline, perhaps coming in for Gordon Sweetser. It's Gordon Sweetser's first game back. Yes, we see Gordon Sweetser coming over to the sideline, and we see Julius Sono warming up. I saw him for the first time in the hotel this morning. We see Gordon Sweetser leaving the field, his first game back with a bad knee. And there's young Julius. I saw him in the hotel, and I don't know, maybe 120 pounds dripping wet, but he's supposed to be quite a character and an excellent soccer player.
He scored in Tampa Bay. Jomo Sono is shot.
He scored on his very first shot taken in the NASL down in Tampa Bay. And Keith Eddy, at this point in the game, he has to get something going. Julius Sono seems to be his man off the bench, and let's see if perhaps he can create some kind of give and go and something happening on goal for the Blizzard. Keith Eddy, we see the graphics, captain of the Cosmos, 1976 and 1977. And Bob Rigby played on that Cosmo team in '76 with Keith Eddy.
Colin Franks looking for Calvert. The ball too far. Let's tell you a little bit about Julius Sono. He is 21 years of age. He is 5'8". He is 130. He was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. And he has great skills, very gifted, but what he lacks is playing experience, and he is getting an opportunity now. Malcolm Robertson to Julius Sono. Velasquez and Mark Antonio, the two players that went into the air.
There's Mark Antonio.
Carmen Marcantonio from Toronto, 5'9", 150, 26 years old. Played with Washington last year. They're glad to have him here in Montreal.
Bob Rigby in no hurry right now. Looking at the scoreboard, not trying to make any mistakes, get the ball well upfield, make the Blizzard win it, and get it back.
Less than 8 minutes remaining. Montreal 2, the Blizzard nothing. Both Manic goals have been scored by Andy Parkinson. One in the first half, the other in the second half. Montreal attempting to get the ball and run down the clock. All alone was Tony Towers. He had nobody with him.
Again, that counter-attack style of play. It's gotten the Manic out to a 2-0 lead, and they've done even better with it in the second half. It's really conducive when a team is pressuring you the way the Blizzard really have to right now.
Let's find out what Gordon Sweetser has to say about the game. Bill Bird?
Come on again!
Gordy, pretty tough out there. It's as if you can't buy a goal of any kind.
It's quite difficult at the moment. We're winning the ball like in midfield, and we keep giving it away. We're getting very frustrated. When they got the second goal, it didn't help because that put more pressure on us. But I think we just got to compete till the end of the game now and try and get a goal, and then you can't tell what might happen. But at the moment we're getting bogged down, we're getting frustrated, we're second best all the time. It's just we're losing a lot of tackles that we should be winning, and the lads' heads just appear to have gone down a bit, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Gordon.
Gordon Switzer, at one time, it looked like his career might be over because of a series of knee injuries, but he has worked hard and made his first start of 1981. He's on the bench now, was replaced by Julius Sono. Montreal's ball.
And it does indeed seem that every call is going against the Blizzard. Every tackle, every 50-50 ball. They just can't get untracked.
Montreal foul. Tony Chersky rolling the ball to Randy Reagan. Now Reagan to Gungar Tekin. They've got to do something, and they've got to do it quickly. Calvert knocking it to Reagan. Reagan, a long pass to Greenhoff. He heads it over to Calvert. They move in over the 35-yard line. Calvert to Julius Soto and off Bobby Smith. So the Blizzard have a corner kick. This is always potentially a scoring situation because of the number of players.
Well, it is. A corner kick puts everybody right in front of the box, and that was certainly a good opportunity. What do? You send somebody to the near post, somebody to the far post, and you try and keep that ball in that 6-yard box. But the Blizzard really feel if they can stick one in now, anything can happen.
How about this? The crowd this afternoon, 27,060. Malcolm Robertson's corner, and it was poked away by Bob Rigby. Blizzard will get another corner from the near side.
That's a picture-perfect play. We take a look at this large, vocal crowd, and Rigby just couldn't control it. He touched it over the bar. Better to be safe than to be sorry.
He had to utilize his reach. Lots of congestion. Oh, and the ball deflecting off the crossbar, just inches away from putting the Blizzard right back into the game.
Well, it was inches away. The official, the referee on the field, it looks like he's called a foul against Jimmy Greenhoff, which would have disallowed a goal had it gone in, but it was just a question of inches. Over 27,000 people here watching today's game. What a good crowd. There's Jimmy Greenhoff and his shadow, Rudy Martinovich. He's been with him all day. He's done an excellent job.
Wilson leaving it for Trisky. 27,060 here at the Big O. As the North American Soccer League comes to Montreal. And if this is any indication that it is going to be a tremendous success. Bob Bosmeyer. Bosmeyer, number 7, keeping the ball in play. Then it's picked up by Calvert. Calvert to Franks. Too far. Bobby Smith. Knocking it to Tony Towers. It's off Velasquez. Towers again to Yussein. Racing after it with Reagan. Yussein gets loose. Yussein, an errant pass. Driven out of play by Velasquez.
What a good piece of work.
This is Blizzard Soccer on the Global Television Network. Mike Anscombe, Shep Messi, Bill Bird, back in Olympic Stadium, Montreal, with a corner kick from the far side of the field. Teeing it up is Tony Towers.
Towers with an in-swinger, bending to the near post. It's cleared well out. And at this point, what can you say about the game? Montreal has done just about everything. And there's the referee pointing direct kick, and it's quickly taken.
Towers, the cross. Hill couldn't run it down.
What a frustrating day for the Blizzard so far. What more can they do? Get a look at Colin Franks waiting for the ball, frustrated, throws it into Tony Chersky, and The attitude is, let's see if we can get down there and crack one in, and then maybe a wing and a prayer, but it's 2-0 and things look bad. You know, Mike, I like everything about this Montreal team and the stadium and the crowd, but I'm not sure about the nickname. Manic? What happens if they play badly? Do you call them manic depressive, or? I don't know. It's been a good opening day here for the NASL and for Montreal.
Manic, and we mention this again, for those of you who may have missed it earlier, is an abbreviation for Manickawagan, a giant power development in northern Quebec. We have a substitute. Going in is young Chris Chuden, Canadian, 20 years of age, from University of British Columbia, and another ex-collegian, Thompson Yusayan, comes out.
What two good young players those are for the Montreal team. Yusayan, called him Mr. Magic in college, and he had a very good game today, and now Chuden comes in and replaces him.
Less than 5 minutes remaining in the game. The Blizzard down 2-0. Malcolm Robertson, number 12. He is stopped. Blizzard throw in. The only man back for the Blizzard is Gungar Teakin. He is standing at midfield. Everybody else inside the 35-yard line. Robertson, some beautiful ball handling. Passes the ball off. It comes loose to Julius Sono, to Jose Velasquez, breaking after it. How do they call it? Corner kick. Blizzard.
That's a great piece of action. The ball loose in the area. Velasquez picks it up, streaks through, and you know, really, players at this stage in the game are thinking, hey, if I get a chance, I'm going to go down. Maybe I'll get a penalty kick out of it.
Calvert. Near post. Comes rolling out to Gordon Hill. Catching up is Tony Towers. Chris Chuden was offside. The youngster couldn't wait. So that nullified the Montreal attack. And now it's Calvert for the Blizzard. Good ball to Jomo Sono. Sono to Robertson. 3.5 minutes left to play. And then Robertson losing it to Bob Bosmeyer. Rigby's in no rush. He'll hang on to it as long as possible. That's Hill. Velasquez taking the pass from Wilson to Gungar Teakin. They can't be too deliberate. To Calvert. Calvert for Greenhoff, running into an open area. Foul is against Montreal.
It's obstruction against Greenhoff, and really, what more can you do? Keith Eddy, completely frustrated, tactically, did everything possible to win the game. The team was playing well. You could call it bad breaks. You could call it misfortune. Whatever you want to call it, but against the flow of play.
There's a chance. They score!
Oh!
Let's take another look at it.
Looks like Gungar Teakin sneaking in unmarked. Bob Rigby, no chance. The cross after the direct kick floating in, and Gungar Teakin sneaks in and slips it in. A great goal for the Blizzard.
All right, that opens the door. We're under 2 minutes. The Blizzard are on the board. 2-1 the score. They want another shot at it, another crack at tying it up. Rigby's goal kick for Wilson. Robertson. They give it away. And it's Bosmeyer sending it down. Towers is onside, according to the linesman. The ball out in front, and Persky got a piece of it. Gets it out to midfield. It's volleyed back in again by Marcantonio. Now Calvert.
And this game is getting frantic. End-to-end action. A big save by Chersky on the cross.
Robertson to Julius Sono. The cross going right through Rigby. And Colin Franks was standing in position. Less than a minute. We're waiting for the official announcement. Here's Jomo Sono, Calvert. Moving in, Hill taking a long shot over top of the crossbar. Chersky rushing, picking it up. Wants to get the ball back into play. The game is over. There is still 30 seconds showing on the clock. That, of course, is the unofficial time. But referee Dave Fletcher stopped play. Maybe we can get a look at the clock. It shows 89:35, which would mean 25 seconds remaining.
Well, we saw the heated discussion on the field. Coach Keith Eddy, Gungratikin over there arguing with the ref. He's got the final word, and he blew the final whistle.
There's the referee. He's looking for a clarification. We kept watching the clock. And suddenly, without warning, there it is. That's the way it was when Guy Fletcher stopped play. There's still confusion down on the field. That's Eddie Fermanti. That's Keith Eddy. Paddy Quinn, Blizzard trainer in the dark glasses.
The discussion still going on. The referee is the only one with the official time. He's got that on his watch. He uses a scoreboard clock to help the fans see what time it is, but he is keeping the official time, and it was really a sudden, abrupt decision. Keith Eddy really getting heated now about the decision.
We're going to try and get an explanation from Bill Bird, who's down in the field, but Keith Eddy going nose to nose with referee Guy Fletcher, but it is official. The Blizzard going down by a score of 2-1. Andy Parkinson getting both Montreal goals. Actually, that's the first time I have seen it happen. Shep, Dave Turner, the assistant, trying to offer some condolence to Keith Eddy. All right. We'll return to Olympic Stadium in Montreal in just a moment.
Okay, the final score is 2-1 for the Montreal Manic over the Blizzard, and quite an entertaining soccer game here. The Blizzard certainly had their opportunities to score, but they didn't get one until very late in the game, and of course it was too little too late. There's still quite a controversy over, was the game over or was it not? Apparently the referee, Guy Fletcher, said it was, although officially, as I understand it, the stadium clock is supposed to be official this year. But the stadium clock showed 89:35 when the referee said that was it. The game was over. So that's the way things stand. Andy Parkinson is a two-goal man, and of course he got both goals for Montreal. And Andy, come on in here. You only had 3 goals last year, so this is quite an accomplishment for you. A great day for you.
Yes, I thought I'd take my chances, you know, because I got a chance to play. I didn't play last weekend. We practiced well. He gave me, Eddie Fermanti, the coach, gave me a chance at left wing, which is unusual for me. And I felt, a lot easier, and balls came much easier, and it was easier to hold balls up. Once I started doing that, I got a lot of confidence, and I just took my chances when I got them.
Okay, I know you're going to say differently. Bruce Wilson, watching on the first goal, the rebound on the penalty kick, said that you were in the box too soon. No, I wasn't in the box. If anybody's in the box too soon, it was one of their players, because he was ahead of me, trying to push me out the way. And when the penalty was taken, he stopped, and I went. And it came to me, and I just put my head down and finished off. Tremendous crowd today, over 27,000. That has to be a pretty pleasing aspect as well.
It makes a change from Philadelphia, although the fans in Philadelphia are good, but soccer-wise, they weren't really behind us. And a crowd like this, I'm sure it'll get better as long as, as the weeks go by.
Andy, congratulations on a fine game.
Oh, thank you very much.
Andy Parkinson, the goal-scoring wizard, 2 goals today for the Montreal Manic, and we'll return to Olympic Stadium in just a moment.
Well, the roof didn't fall in on anybody, but the Blizzard did go home losers by a score of 2-1. There's the scoring plays. Parkinson twice for Montreal, then Gungar Tekin with less than 2 minutes remaining in the second half. And it was a question, I suppose, of the Blizzard doing everything right except finishing off the play.
Well, again, it's so frustrating. It's so easy for us to say, but the name of the game is to stick it in. And certainly I felt that the Blizzard played a good soccer game, but they missed on several key points. You can't afford to make defensive mistakes. They made 2 of them, and it cost them 2 goals. One on the penalty kick, not picking up the rebound after the save, and the second one, unfortunately for young Randy Reagan, a tough play, a 30, 40-yard through pass, which the Manic were trying all afternoon. Randy got a little bit caught up. Colin Franks came to give cover, kind of shielded out Tony Chersky, and it was a goal well taken by Parkinson. But really 2 lapses and otherwise a good game for the Blizzard, and they're on the short end of the score.
Okay, Shep, the Montreal Manic took a 1-0 lead in the first half on a goal by Andy Parkinson. Then in the second half, it was Parkinson again, giving the Manic a 2-0 lead. Here it is.
Well, here's Parkinson getting the 30-yard ball going by Reagan, and now when Colin Franks gives cover, he pulls it back, beating both defenders, leaving them a bit flat-footed, and perhaps here it's a great goal with the right foot, and Tony Chersky a bit unsighted, maybe even a deflection off young Randy, but a tremendous goal for the Manic and a heartbreaking one for the Blizzard because, again, it was against the flow of the play. They had been dominating the play.
Well, the Blizzard did get on the board, but it was late. Less than 2.5 minutes remaining, and Gungar Tekin, number 5, got it.
And well taken by Gunga. Again, a set play. The ball floating in. Gunga well up, completely unmarked. You can't miss chances like that in soccer, and Gunga certainly didn't miss that one. It's a golden opportunity for a central defender. It's a situation that a central defender loves, but unfortunately for the Blizzard, a little bit too late.
There was about 25 seconds showing on the clock when referee Guy Frature suddenly stopped the game, blew the whistle. That was it. Bill Bird mentioned that he was under the impression that the stadium clock was official. However, we've received a clarification. In fact, Guy Frature, the referee, has the official time. And so what he did was presumably the right thing. The final score again, the Montreal Manic defeating the Blizzard by a score of 2-1. In a tough, hard-fought battle between 2 teams, of course, a natural rivalry between Montreal and Toronto. The Blizzard's next home game, Sunday, April 26th, at Exhibition Stadium, 3 o'clock against the Washington Diplomats. Our next broadcast, and I can hardly wait for this one, the Blizzard at Giant Stadium against the New York Cosmos on Sunday, May 10th at 2:30 in the afternoon. The producer and director of today's game, Jim Huff. The technical producer, Keith Robinson. Statistician and research, George Cootie. And so, for Shep Messing, Bill Bird, and the entire crew, this is Mike Anscombe reminding you the final score 2-1, and so long from Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Blizzard Soccer has been brought to you by Molson's, Canada's name in beer since 1786. Brewers of Molson Canadian, breaking away to the good times.